G'day everyone. I'm just throwing this as an intro to all of these videos I'm about to upload. These are all spearfishing info videos from Patreon. The Patreon people that I spoke with said they wouldn't mind if these eventually went on YouTube. There's about 9 hours of spearfishing info stuff. Nothing fancy, just me talking to a GoPro on various topics, but it will probably help quite a few new divers because there's like 9 hours of just absolute... I cover everything I've sort of ever learned in the scene. With regards to me spearfishing, probably not a reality at the moment. I was just diagnosed with a disorder called ME a few years back. Stupidly tried to hide it. Shouldn't have actually, because if I come out with these things I can help other people that are struggling through them. But yeah, I haven't even been able to make this video for the last 4 days because I've been and now yeah, I've got enough energy today. But yeah, you can watch the Future of Aquatic Rehab spearfishing video if you want to know more on that. For anyone that wants to help me through this, I will put my PayPal in here. Feel free if you think you're getting value out of this, because sort of everything helps with this. But otherwise, no pressure. Just go out and send us pictures of the fish that you're smashing. And yeah, hope you guys get some info. Hey crew. Just jimmied the camera up off my blooming rearview mirror to do this one. So I'm just on the way to the gun shop having a drive, so I thought it was a pretty good time to do this week's spearfishing information video. So this one I'm going to have a talk about, sorry, it's in my eye. This week I'm going to have a talk about solo spearfishing and what the whole deal is there. Obviously for new divers and experienced divers, it seems like sort of a weird taboo kind of subject. The basics of what I want to cover is, or the way that I sort of feel about it is that, like, I mean, snapper is probably our most prized species in the upper third of New Zealand for spearfishing, and that's a species where you have to hunt it solo. Because of the way that they are, they're difficult fish to hunt. So that's just common knowledge that a diver gets dropped off every, if you're going on a boat dive or whatever, a diver will get dropped off every kilometre down the coast, and then those divers will swim that section of coast so that it hasn't been polluted or disrupted by other spearfishermen being in the water. So a bit of coast can basically just, once the diver's gone through, then it's sort of all been checked, and it's kind of a write-off, sort of. So that is all solo spearfishing, and that's just the norm. However, solo spearfishing shouldn't be normalized to brand new divers. Solo spearfishing is just part of what we do when we're hunting snapper, and for everyone with experience, you know that snapper hunting isn't deep, long bottom times. Well, it can be, but this kind of hunting is snooping over ledges, checking generally shallow ledges along sections of coast. Now that's because it's hunting one of the hardest fish on the planet to get close to, a fish that absolutely does not tolerate the sight of a spearfisherman, provided it's not extraordinary circumstances where it's around a shark or something like that, or there's a lot pre-spawn and things are just a bit gnarly for a week when the fish just dumb down. That fish does not tolerate the sight of a spearfisherman, and they're very, very good eyesight. And I don't put up enough videos of me spooking them. I spook hundreds and hundreds of snapper, and that's just the way that they are. So that's how we hunt them. We get dropped off on a section of coast, and with all the, if you could have it your way, you'd have the sun right behind you so that you can come over a ledge and make it move while the fish has been blinded and all the rest of it. So that's just the norm. Solo spearfishing is the norm in New Zealand, or solo snapper hunting is the norm. But as I said before, solo spearfishing and solo freediving should not be normalized to new divers,
And the reason why, I feel, is because before you get to that level of hunting that one of the hardest fish in the world, there's a period of you sort of have to learn your own capabilities, being comfortable in the water, shooting a whole range of other different types of fish, because snapper is the fish that you progress up to, that's sort of the pinnacle. And that might take 3 years to sort of start, you know, in some scenarios. So in that apprenticeship time, a lot of new divers have to learn things like, are they susceptible to blackout? Are they comfortable in the water? Are they fit in the water? Do they know how to rescue their buddy? Do they know all about CO2 tolerance, all about oxygen, all about what blackout is, what hypoxic fit is and stuff like that? There's a whole massive ball of information that new divers have to absorb before solo spearfishing is normalized to them. And that's what I reckon. Basically, it's because you don't want a new diver going, oh yeah, cool, I'm going to get into this, and then going out and getting into the water. They may be come from a swimming background, or they may be athletic, and they may have a really good CO2 tolerance to begin with. They don't really know what they're doing, and they black out and drown. And the reason why I say spearfishing shouldn't be normalized to new divers, spearfishing solo, is because I've seen when I used to help out with oxygen provider at freediving courses a decade or so ago, I saw quite a few blackouts from people that were really new. So this is from quite a small percentage, but this is blackouts that were happening to people that were just getting into it, and these were people that were sort of extraordinary. They just, one guy would have a blackout after a minute or a minute 30 just doing a standard static. Another guy would just swim around on the bottom feeling great in the pool, doing laps until he blacked out. He just never had that. He could just go right to the end there, just naturally tolerating that CO2. So if you promote solo spearfishing as it's a normalized sort of thing in the scene, what happens is that you're going to capture those sort of 1% of people that are quite prone to blackout. Then don't think, oh no, it's cool. They go out, no one's there to save them. So yeah, that's why we sort of stress never spearfish solo, rada. You're kind of like building up like just like a base, just to save that core of people that are prone, and also the ones that aren't that clued up, because you know there's a lot of people out there that aren't that clued up, and you know, they go out there and, you know, our last week's talk, we talked about over-breathing, how common that is. People over-breathe, their CO2 baseline is low when they dive, they push their warning system out, and then they end up blacking out. So yeah, basically what we're doing is trying to encourage new spearos in that apprenticeship stage to go out and seek information, learn it with someone else, go out with a buddy and go out on a boat with other people and dive around and figure your gear out, figure out your fitness in the water, where you run into trouble, where you feel shit, feel good, you know, dive with other people. So, you know, you could be hunting kingies for 2 years and then going, I don't know, you're sort of like getting used to diving deep on reefs and stuff like that, or deeper, or pushing your own limits with buddies there, and then you find out, oh, in a certain amount of time I don't feel really great, or something like that. There's so much that you need to learn just at that initial sort of, in that initial stage. Every dive is going to teach you so much, and every you need to go and fail hard to learn. You need to just go and fail and fail and fail at all different things, hunting, fish, and all the rest of it. You know, when you're pretty good and you're pretty consistent at shooting fish, then you can go and you know, have a crack at these snapper, because they're not going to tolerate any silliness. And some guys are real good at the start. They're just like natural hunters and they're really good, and a lot of guys just aren't. Depends on your background too. If you come from like a hunting background, deer and in the bush and that, then you're going to be obviously going to be like learning way quicker, and then you can be out snooping snapper within 6 months. But you know, some guys that are you know, coming from completely different backgrounds, it might take them quite a while, or because they don't get the chance to dive as much as other people, it might take them a few years. So yeah, that's basically the gist of solo spearfishing. Is completely normal. I don't want to go into what you do when you're solo spearfishing. Like, you don't, I mean, obviously it's not, you know, it's snapper snooping. You can find out what that is. We talk about that in the How to Spearfish series, and how it's like reef ledge checking and stuff like that. But I'm not going to really get into that. But it's a hunting method that is not bottom timing fish, diving deep. Often like snapper snooping is sort of between 3 and 5 meters. Yeah, there can be some breath hold required, and you know, that's when it really pays to know that you're not hyperventilating and stuff like that as well. You know, it's all sort of within those same distances as what a commercial killer diver would do. And yeah, killer divers normally aren't giving themselves the same recovery times on the surface as what you do snapper snooping. So yeah, that's essentially the gist of the whole solo spearfishing thing in New Zealand. Solo spearfishing in New Zealand is not a taboo. It's not. It's completely standard. Everyone that shoots snapper spearfishes solo. But as I said at the start, it's a different type of hunting. You need to learn that type of hunting. Don't normalise solo spearfishing for new divers, and new divers need to get through an apprentice stage to get to that level, to do it safely, so that they're not, you know, so that they're not going out and learning how to spearfish and learning how to free dive just by winging it in the water. Because that's when guys will just go out and die. And these posts here are obviously prompted by the several recent deaths in Australasia when it comes to solo spearfishing blackout. So yeah, I hope you guys have picked something up from this. That's basically my 2 cents on solo spearfishing, and the way that we approach solo spearfishing, and talk about it. Remember, it's not a taboo. It's not like, oh, you're solo spearfishing, that's bad. That's the way we hunt in New Zealand, because we've got to get those snappers. So yeah, keep that all in mind.